must have played games like Scrabble when you were young. But it's so difficult to name even one Indian word game. So this is the journey of how we created the first word game for Indian languages called Aksharit. So when I was young, around 10 years old, I wanted to become a member of this Maggie Club because if I did so, I could collect all these cool do-it-yourself toys all for free. But the problem was, being from a middle-class family, eating Maggie noodles back then was a luxury, and I needed these 50 wrappers. So what I did was, after school, I started foraging all the dustbins near my locality, looking for these wrappers. I did this almost for a year, and I collected all the toys in the catalog. So when I look back on this, I see how this drive to do whatever it takes to follow your passion, that takes a backseat when you grow up. As expected of me, after school, I studied hard at IIT. I also worked at a software job in a US-based company. But by and by, I found the work creatively lacking, and I somehow just could not see myself doing that for the rest of my life. So after some thinking, I remembered how I always wanted to work with little children, and I wanted to explore the education system in India. So I decided to join an alternate education center called Rishi Valley School as a teacher. And after I did so, I realized that after a long time, I was in the state zero, where I knew nobody was expecting anything from me. That's the beauty in treading an unknown path. It's that people don't know what to expect from you because they themselves have not been there. So suddenly, you're free to explore. And that's what I did at Rishi Valley. Being in a boarding school, I saw children both inside the classroom and in the games field. And I would see how they would rush to the games field without the fear of winning or losing. They would just be there with an open mind. And I wanted to bring that quality into the classroom. So I incorporate a lot of games and activities in my science teaching. So I remember children would learn by making and breaking toys, or I would create cartoons to convey concepts. I even created marketplaces where children would come and exchange knowledge. It's through these games that I saw the tremendous potential play holds in learning. So Aksharit, the word game I created with Rajat and Manoj, harnesses the power of play into making Hindi learning fun. So we saw that nothing like that was available in the market, though there were so many available for English and other languages. So English has these 26 letters, and Hindi, on the other hand, has these 48 letters and has these 12 vowels or matras, which act like diacritic marks, like the accent over E in French. So you have these 12 into 48, more than 500 different symbols as compared to 26. So if you went on to blindly copying one of these English games, you would end up with a board which will be a size of a large bed, and you'll have to carry the tiles in a sack. But we were able to find a solution so that the whole game would fit in a small box. But the game was not fun. Whenever we would sit for play testing, it would be really work. It wasn't fun. That's when we realized there were other differences between the languages which made the gameplay difficult. For example, English has these difficult letters like X, Q, J, and Z. But Hindi, on the other hand, has 18 such letters. We found out this when we did the frequency analysis. And all these letters like sh, tra, gya. And so imagine playing with 18 Qs in your tile bag. After 2 years of revisions and play testing, finally Aksharit was ready. We wanted to take Aksharit to the government schools in India because that's where all the 80% of the school-going children study. And also because learning in these schools is quite dull because of poor teacher quality and also because of lack of use of games and activities in the learning process. But selling board games in Indian languages to the governments to start a business was not an easy job. But I'm glad to share today that 4 state governments across 2,500 schools have adopted Aksharit. Aksharit has reached more than 200,000 children, and we hope to reach 1 million children in the coming year. I remember going on these field trips to these remote government schools and hear these anecdotes from the teachers. Children would quickly finish their midday meal or their lunch and come back to class so that they could play Aksharit. Aksharit is now ready in the 11 major Indian languages, and its digital version has reached more than 500,000 people. Aksharit is just the beginning. We want to empower all the government schools in India with the power of play so that it can serve all the 150 million children studying in these schools. It took me some time, but finally I have become that 10-year-old girl again who's ready to follow her passion all the way up to the dustbin. I have figured out a way to reinstate play and purpose into my life. Aksharit mimics the same metamorphosis. It restores play into a previously dull task of learning Indian languages. And similarly, I hope that you can also reinstate play and purpose into your lives. And to start with, please look under your seats for these little brown packets. How we solve the problem of putting all those vowels and matras all to put together. And you have 20 seconds to do so. Thank you.